Golf Central is in New Orleans for the Zurich Classic, where once again Mother Nature not cooperating. Round 3 play suspended and called at 5:30 Central Time. The players will be back out Sunday morning, 7:30 Central Time, to resume their 3rd round action. We're on the road in New Orleans, and Golf Central is on the air.
Golf Central, brought to you by Titleist.
The Zurich Classic has been behind the 8 ball since the beginning. A 5-hour weather delay on Thursday and more problems on Saturday as the rain just never let up in 3rd round, really never got underway. 34 players never able to even start their 3rd round. For more on the weather and the plan ahead, here's George Savarickas.
Ryan, after more than 4-hour delay here at TPC of Louisiana, play was finally called for the day by the PGA Tour at 5:30 local time, meaning Saturday's 3rd round has been pushed until Sunday. Some of the field has already teed off. The leaders have yet to tee off, so play will resume at 7:30 a.m. local time. That is, of course, permitting that the TPC of Louisiana is in good enough shape to start play Sunday morning. So far on Saturday, there's been about 1.25 inches of rain that has accumulated. That coupled with the 2 inches that fell on Wednesday and Thursday mean we're at 3.25 inches so far, with more rain in the forecast on Sunday and into Monday as well. It's definitely going to be a struggle to complete an entire 72 holes. Steve Carman, the PGA Tour's tournament director this week, says if there's no rain and everything falls perfectly, they could try and play the 3rd and 4th round on Sunday and have the tournament finish then. But with the look of the forecast, that seems highly unlikely, Ryan.
Appreciate it, George. We are indeed in New Orleans for the Zurich Classic. Ryan Burr along with Brandel Chambly and David Duvall. And really a tough deal for everyone. Tough for the players, of course, tough for the fans of New Orleans that want to come out and see their favorite players, and tough for the Zurich Classic.
Well, it's unfortunate that round number 3 didn't get into the books here in New Orleans, but given the colors that popped up on the radar screen this morning, David, perhaps we're all fortunate to get out of here in one piece.
Yeah, one piece for sure. Sadly, what we talked about earlier in the day came to fruition. No golf was played. The weather didn't cooperate at all. Going to really struggle tomorrow, it looks like, with the weather too. So who knows when this 3rd round is going to get completed.
Well, the good news was early on Saturday, the weather did hold off long enough to get the 2nd round completed. That would include world number 1 Jason Day, who was out early on Saturday morning to complete his 2nd round. And early on, like he's done much of the week on the back 9, birdies.
Yeah, well, there's slim pickings today for Jason Day, excuse me, in round number 2 on the par 5s. The lone birdie there, but on the par 4s, it was another story, David.
Yeah, this is a really pretty little soft arms, 75-yard sand wedge into the 13th here. Places it perfectly right below the hole, has a really good look at birdie from 6 feet. And with a putting stroke like this, you'd expect nothing but this result.
And that moves Jason to 7 under par. So working his way up the leaderboard is one Jason Day. The man everyone chasing, Brian Stewart.
And Brian Stewart has never won on the PGA Tour, but quietly had a very good year just a couple of years ago, finishing 52nd on the money list. And not so quietly has managed to find himself atop the leaderboard here in New Orleans, thanks in large part to his work on the greens.
And leading the field in strokes gained putting, that left-hand low, silky smooth, and he has been on fire for sure. This some of his ball striking from 129.
Yeah, beautiful approach shot here on the 8th hole. Just a pitching wedge for Brian. Put in a great position just to the left of the hole. Have a good look at birdie just down a slight hill.
And once again, the birdie putt drops. He ultimately gets to 12 under par as he shot a 2nd round of 4 under 68. It is the 2nd time Brian Stewart has had the outright 36-hole lead on the PGA Tour career. And as Brandel indicated, still looking for win number 1. So there is a look at our leaderboard. Once again, round 3 will resume on Sunday morning. For now, let's listen in to Stewart and Day.
We had a 5-hour delay on Thursday, and I came back out and bogeyed 2 holes coming in, and I had to play 2 holes. So, yeah, I mean, you just got to understand that if it is stop and start, you got to try and stay in the right frame of mind mentally. Try and keep yourself loose, because there is a lot of sitting around and a lot of eating and all that other stuff inside family dining. But you got to try and remind yourself that you need to, stay sharp here, because it's very easy to get in player dining, start sitting around, start talking to the guys, and kind of switch off.
I think I just gotta stay patient, stay in the moment, and just keep going.
Does your mentality change at all with possible weather forecasts later today and Sunday? Who knows how many holes this tournament can wind up being?
Not really. I think you just got to go out and play it one shot at a time, and whatever happens, happens.
So a one-shot lead for Brian Stewart through 36 holes, making only his 7th start of his PGA Tour season. And you can see a little look there at the 36-hole history and what it has meant. But obviously a great opportunity this week for Brian Stewart to cash in if we can get back out on the golf course. It's time for Inside Info presented by the Hyundai Genesis. And let's get into Brian Stewart a little bit. You mentioned a couple years ago played so well, top 60 on the money list, has fallen back a bit. It's a big week for him, especially if he can get back out on the golf course.
And you might say a bit of a surprise, too, given the fact that this golf course is so soft and there's such a premium on carries, and the fact that it is a Pete Dye golf course and typically very penal when you miss a fairway or a green. You're talking about a guy who's leading an event and averaging 264 yards off of the tee and only 11.5 greens a day. But David, his work around and on the greens has been exemplary for 36 holes.
It has been at least exemplary, if not better. Yeah, he had a great year really in 13, a good year in 14, a little bit off the past campaign, but that might be just simply a nagging injury, something that's not really reported on. And you know what? He is a PGA Tour player, and it's not really surprising to see these members out here play good golf. He happened to be putting beautifully this week. We've talked about that. Had one of the best putting rounds of the year in the first round, and that's what propelled him into the position he's in right now. I'm sure he wants to get out there and play, and look forward to maybe closing out his first victory.
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the many storylines we're watching is Brian Stewart as well as Jason Day, the top-ranked player in the world, in contention once again. Should he win, it would be his 3rd victory on the PGA Tour in his last 5 starts. That's how you get to number 1 in the world.
Well, just listening to him in the interviews, obviously in the rain delay, you realize just how much work goes into being as good as Jason Day is. I realize how talented he is. It was certainly evident just a few years ago when he popped out on the PGA Tour. But when you're as good as him, you can have a little less than your best game and still be within touch of the leaders. He didn't putt particularly well in round number 1. He didn't take advantage of the par 5s in round number 2. But still, he's within touch, given the fact that this golf course is putting such a premium on distance off of the tee.
Well, distance is always a good thing in professional golf, but the added distance this week when everything is basically a forced carry, that gives him a huge advantage. He's carrying the ball 305, 310 yards off of the tee, which is really a hard thing to overcome for other players. And yet, if you throw in his wedge game, you throw in his putting, it wouldn't be surprising to see him kind of close up that 5-shot deficit he's facing right now.
And big advantage for Jason Day with the ball in hand, and that, of course, will be the story in the 3rd round and probably as we move on here at the Zurich Classic. Once again, weather taking top storyline here. Very little golf played here on Saturday at the Zurich Classic. A lot of rain out on the golf course. We look to resume on Sunday morning. We are back from New Orleans in the Zurich Classic after this.